The hallway was filled with the sharp scent of coconut oil and chalk dust. Teenage girls in sky-blue school uniforms moved in slow clusters, whispering, giggling, playing and running around. At the center of the corridor, like a queen in her court, stood beautiful Doris with her companions, tall, caramel-skinned, confident with her sunlight smile. Doris knew she was beautiful, and she was very sure that she was the wishful dream of boys and girls alike, both within and outside the four walls of the school. Every boy knew her name, and every girl envied her sway. At the far end of the corridor, just by the window, four friends sat on a wooden bench. One of them, Kola, had just accepted a dare. It was a game of truth or dare, and the task was to woo the untouchable Queen Doris. The whole friends jumped up shouting in mockery. "She's not your level, bro," his friend laughed. Kola smirked in acceptance of the challenge. "Give me 3 days," he said, liking the challenge ahead. What began as a game soon turned serious and ambitious. With carefully folded notes, borrowed poetry, and stolen glances, he cracked Doris' shield. Her ice-cold repelling shield melted. She let him into her heart, body, everything. It was a game, but Kola found something real in her that he respected, loved, and cherished. But teenage love is a fragile thing that goes with the flow. It wasn't long before the effect of carelessness and zealousness forced reality into their lives, and their dreams took a different dive. Doris missed her period, and the test showed 2 bold lines that confirmed a crumbling reality. The school expelled them both, and a silent shock gripped the entire school. Her parents wept with disappointment over a shattered dream. Kola's parents disappeared him, and Kola was gone, far beyond contact. Doris' confidence and sense of pride dwindled sharply as she faced her shame and the world, alone. 23 years later, in the city of Lagos, a train slowed with a loud horn that announced its arrival as it gently stopped in Yaba train terminal. The smell of newly painted walls and burnt fuel floated into the window. Toyosi, 23 and unshakably determined and obedient child, sat beside her mother, Doris. She looked through the window, and the public address system in the train announced their arrival. Then she continued scrolling through her phone. "You're quiet," Doris said. "I'm thinking, but is fine." "A thought just flashed my mind now," Toyosi informed. Doris sighed. "Don't tell me it's about that man again." "Mom, I will not tell you if you say so," Toyosi said, but Doris was right. She'd told her the story 6 months ago, not because she wanted to, but because Toyosi had pushed. She wanted to know, as if she was troubled in spirit to find out the truth about her father. And then, by sheer fate or punishment from the gods, they found out he was still alive. Not just alive. He was a billionaire. Chief Kola Adebayo, CEO of Codetech Industries. A tech kingpin with offices in Ikoyi. Photos of his yachts and foundation donations filled the blog of Prosek's blog, which happened to be Toyosi's favorite blogger and the most followed blog. It's like everyone knew his name. Everyone except Toyosi, who until now, knew nothing but has known much more. "I want to see him," Toyosi said as they settled into the Uber ride that took them home. Not for a hug, not for answers, but for simple justice. "What kind of justice?" Doris asked. She never wanted to have anything to do with Kola again, but for the sake of her unsettled daughter, she now wished her daughter could find peace with her father. Toyosi didn't reply. Her eyes said a little more than enough to scare her mother, Doris. "You dare not do or get yourself involved in anything stupid. Whatever it is, he is your father," Doris said, and Toyosi kept her response to herself but seriously wished her mother could stop referring to him as her father. She shared her feelings with her friend, Tawa. "I will nail him to the wall and deal with him to pay for everything." Tawa spat fire 2 days later in her room, plotting and strategizing with Toyosi. It was Tawa's idea. A friend like no other that has been around for a while and oriented with polished street life. Sharp-tongued, beautiful, and as fearless as they come. Toyosi had barely finished her plan when Tawa offered herself up. "Let me enter him," she said, grinning. "Use me. Let me seduce the devil." "Tawa, are you serious?" "I'm always serious when it comes to wicked rich men. Do you think I am just beautiful and brainless? I can penetrate circles when I want to." The plan was simple. Tawa would pose as a lifestyle content creator and bump into Kola at a corporate mixer hosted by his foundation. She would flirt, get noticed, get invited. Then, with time, gain access to his home, his habits and secrets. Slowly he will pay, if possible, with tears and pains. It started like a fairy tale. Kola noticed her the very first night. She was draped in a red silk gown with a slit high enough to break focus. Her voice was soft, her laugh like music. He sent her a bottle of champagne across a couple of tables and she sent him a wink in appreciation. Within weeks of premeditated introduction, she was attending private dinners with him. He anchored to himself in the best of moments like a life jacket. Weekend getaways became too regular for his own comfort, but he told himself that he needed to feel alive after working so hard all these years. Tawa gradually became too used to sleeping over in his mansion in Banana Island, and he lavished her with money, clothes, watches, phones, and she also drove around town in his fleet of luxury cars. But something changed. Girls' code was broken and true friendship was tested. Tawa stopped picking Toyosi's calls. "What's going on with you?" Toyosi demanded one day, barging into Tawa's one-bedroom mini-flat. Tawa looked tired, glowing and guilty when she saw Toyosi. "You said it was a game," Toyosi hissed. "You were supposed to help me." "I didn't plan to fall for him," Tawa confessed. "You what?" Toyosi barked. "You fell for him? I don't understand, how could you do that to me?" Toyosi screamed. "I know it sounds crazy, but he's kind, Toyo. He listens. He is a nice person and I am just wondering if all that was said about him is true. The initial impression I had about him was wrong. He makes me feel seen. That man ruined my mother's life." Toyosi said, and Tawa looked away. "Maybe your mother left some things out. Just maybe she didn't tell you the whole truth." "I am not saying that she didn't, but just maybe," Tawa stammered. That night, Toyosi stormed into the house like a hurricane. Doris was cooking in the kitchen as she stormed inside. "What else are you hiding from me, Mom?" she asked. "What do you mean?" Doris asked. "Did he look for you? Did he make any effort? Did he ever come back or send any message?" Doris dropped the spoon. "Answer me, Mom." Tears welled in the woman's eyes and mother and daughter sobbed in regrets and retrospect. "There was a letter, from his cousin, but I never opened it. I didn't want to know. I was angry. I burned it," Doris opened up. "Why?" Toyosi asked. "Because I didn't think I could survive wanting him back." Silence. Toyosi stared at her mother through her tears-filled eyes, and said out loud to herself. Maybe the real enemy wasn't Kola. Maybe it was time, ego, pride, everything that kept two people apart. Still, it didn't explain why Tawa had betrayed her. She realized that she had pushed her own friend to luxury and lost both her only friend and the only man that should have been there for her right from when she was born. 2 months later, Prosek's blog erupted with a gossip. Tech billionaire Chief Kola Adebayo set to marry 24-year-old influencer Tawa Gold. Toyosi nearly choked on her yogurt drink that she was having that late morning. The comments were vicious. "Nah, sugar baby things. She jazzed him for real. Where's the ex-wife? Was he ever married?" Toyosi's hands shook as she typed. She wanted war. One person confirmed that the engagement was a scheduled party was scheduled to take place the following day at La Sula. That was all the vital clue that Toyosi needed. The event was grand with white roses, chandeliers, violins. The engagement was hosted in an Ikoyi ballroom called La Sula. Kola stood proudly with Tawa by his side. The orchestra had just stopped playing and the host MC just appreciated their musical efficiency, and once again welcomed everyone to the strictly attended event. Toyosi walked in a wine-colored gown, eyes blazing, beauty and elegance that even surprised herself. She just discovered a part of her that she never knew existed in her. She felt so confident and comfortable among the billionaires sitting around and stealing glances at her. A light classic music came from the DJ but remained low on the background. Toyosi felt she was not ready to be too generous with the reason for all the admiration and attention that she was getting. She knew that she wasn't there for fun. She stood up and walked towards the podium. Tawa saw her stood up but even she could not recognize the transformed Toyosi, until she heard her voice on the microphone. The music stopped when she reached the podium. "Excuse me," she said, and heads rolled and wishes formed in wayward minds. Kola looked with admiration at what he saw, but admitted to himself that she was a stranger and strangely giving a toast. "I have a toast," she said, and Tawa's chest pounded rapidly. Kola smiled politely but little did he know that his fiancée standing beside him had froze. "I'm Toyosi, daughter of Doris Inyang and Kola Adebayo." Silence. Gasps. Tawa's glass slipped from her hand. Kola's face turned pale. He felt cold in his immaculate tuxedo and suddenly, he became so hot and sweating that he had to loosen the button. He couldn't believe that God could be so miraculous as to let him have a daughter like Toyosi. It was beyond beliefs and his excitement was heightened. His billions in the bank was not worth his treasure for Toyosi at that moment. The silence was gravy and the DJ had completely lowered the sound of his music. Toyosi calmly and proudly congratulated her father with a smile. As well as Tawa, whom she revealed to be her best friend that she planned with, to sabotage and probably ruin her father in a payback for abandoning her and her mother. Kola flashed a bitter stare at Tawa, whose head was down. So, this was just a ploy, Kola thought to himself. The atmosphere in the hall kept changing from cool, cozy, romantic, warm, tense, and rowdy. People couldn't admire Toyosi any less but more, as she walked out through the door. Kola ran out after her, into the night and found her in the parking lot. He was shaking. "You are my daughter?" "I have a daughter like you?" "I didn't know," he whispered. "Doris never replied and I wrote several letters. I wrote and I begged. Her father chased me away, she was my world and I was lucky to have Doris," Kola said in a voice that was heavy with pains, regrets and tears. His driver approached and he signaled the driver to leave them alone. "First of all, please my dear, allow me." Toyosi wondered what he meant by, "allow me," but he proffered opened arms for embrace and slowly wrapped them around her. When she buried herself in his embrace, he sobbed and cried like a baby. "How could you ever be out there without me?" he muttered in between a free flow of tears. A billionaire tears. An expensive tears. "How has your mother really been?" he asked while releasing her from his hug. "She suffered," Toyosi said calmly with pity. "I grew up not having a father, no fatherly love and care, I grew up with nothing. Please don't tell me my dear daughter, I know. I can imagine and I am so sorry, I just can't believe that you were out there. Please take me to Doris, your mother," Kola requested. "Let me know when you are ready." Toyosi said and Kola eagerly insisted, "I am ready now, please I need to see your mother now." "You have an event going on," Toyosi reminded him, but he cared less about the event. That event shouldn't have been, in the first place. "Let's go to your mom now," he insisted. "And your guest?" Toyosi asked. "Okay, since you care so much about them, give me a minute and I will just make an announcement out of respect for my guest, and I will join you in the car." He beckoned and directed his driver to lead her to his car. In just about 7 minutes, Kola was back in the car with her, after making an announcement and apologetically excusing himself from the party. Prosek's blog went viral on the turn of event, and the comments that ensued became an unending forum for discussion. Sitting beside him in his luxury car, Toyosi felt a relatable chemistry with him as father and daughter. A sense of love and protection that she had never had the privilege to experience. She remembered the way he wept while hugging her in the parking lot and realized that her father was a good man, who never even knew that she existed. Somehow, she admitted that Tawa was right about him after all. She also had a wrong impression about her father, and that only pointed to the fact that her mother did a good job in misleading her opinion about him. Kola asked too many questions and wanted to know too much of everything in the car, but the euphoria of his shock and excitement miraged his comprehension of everything he needed to know. In reality, he needed time to catch up and learn. They got to her house and Toyosi wore a joyful smile of expectation as gently knocked twice on the door before pushing it open. Doris, who was already coming towards the door as Toyosi walked inside with her father behind her. She stood froze, stared, not sad but stunned. She did not hear what he said, but she could tell that he just said something. Then she seemed to be gasping for air as she stretched her hand towards her daughter for help to sit down because she felt like falling. But Kola quickly reached out and held her to his loving embrace. He knew how she was feeling and guided her to a chair. He requested for Toyosi to give her some water to drink. Kola couldn't believe that Doris had not lost her beauty and charm, after having such a grown-up daughter. She looked far younger than her age bracket. Her curves and tall slim figure still in place and still provoking appeals. She could easily pass for a friend or roommate with her own daughter. Everything about the evening for Kola seemed miraculous. He knew that he was lucky to ever be loved by Doris in the first place, but now he was fearfully in wonder of where his own luck was coming from. He stood up and paced back and forth in the little space in the room with his both hands in his hip pocket. Then he stopped and said out loud but calmly, with his eyes looking thoughtfully at the ceiling as if talking to himself, "So, I have always had a family, somewhere in this world, but I didn't know. Doing charities here and there, while my own family was somewhere suffering." He reached out and pulled Toyosi to himself and hugged her tightly without a word, until one ball of teardrop hit the floor from his eyes. Doris looked at them with warm tears, streaming down her cheek. When Kola noticed her in tears, he left Toyosi and went to Doris, went down on one knee and held her both hands, saying, "I cannot pay you for your childhood dream life and the real things in life that you have missed. But I will live the rest of my life, honoring you and doing the best I can to make you happy. I will invest my life in you and take away your pains in every way possible." The following morning, Tawa moved out of Korla's house in Banana Island, just in time to avoid Toyosi's arrival. The sweet engagement was obviously aborted and she knew that she needed time to heal from within and outside, especially the social media space which she had personally involved widely. Toyosi made sure that she brought her mother with her to Korla's home in Banana Island, but not without serious efforts. Korla was overjoyed, because he spent hours pleading with Doris to come with him the previous night, but she refused. He wanted the three of them to spend the night in his home. It was a night to remember and he wanted more spices to the memory. The following week, Korla wasted no time and hurriedly traveled with Doris and Toyosi to see Doris's parents in a village in Uyo. He fulfilled her traditional marital rites and proceeded to arrange a quiet wedding within 3 months. From the very first day that Doris stepped her feet in Korla's house, he never allowed Doris to return back to her former residence. He and Toyosi had personally gone back there to get her important documents and whatever was necessary. She was baptized into a new life of luxury and nothing less. In the years that followed, Toyosi was not the only princess to enjoy her father's lavished wealth. Amor, her younger brother, sat beside her in her Porsche car as she drove back from the supermarket. He was named Amor by her father in appreciation to her mother, for naming her, Toyosi, a native name from Korla's native region in spite of his absence in their lives when she was born. Korla decided to reciprocate the gesture. The family was whole and happy and life was good. Toyosi remained friends with Tawa and appreciated the fact that, even though Tawa got greedy, she was actually there for her when she needed a friend, and everything worked out for the best. And sometimes, the price of seduction is not the act itself, but the truth it brings out of the shadows. The end. Please subscribe to this channel if you like the story. Share the video and tell us what you think on the comment section below. You may just want to tell us your high point in the story and the scenes you love most. Thanks and stay blessed. We have more love stories on this channel and lot more to come.